Okay, before you hit that dislike button, just hear me out, will you? Believe me, I know this is a sensitive issue, and I'm not here to crap on anyone's feelings. I just want to do what nobody else on YouTube seems responsible enough to do, and alert you to the fact that there are consequences for endorsing homosexuality. Now please, don't call me a homophobic bigot, because I've gotten to be friends with gay people in my college experience. One of them was my roommate for 3 years, Kent, whom I would go to anime club with, and I used to give him graphic novels for presents every Christmas. The other guy was a guy named James, or Captain Kirk as we like to call him, who hung out in my lunch group for 2 years. We used to play Smash Brothers Brawl together, or watch 90s cartoons like Animaniacs and Tiny Toons Adventures. I love them as people, and I still do. So when I say that homosexuality is bad, I speak not out in hate against anyone, but because the condition itself is so destructive. Let's cut right to the chase. Hemorrhoids, rectal prolapse, incontinence, fissures, these are all the consequences of those who practice anal sex. STDs go without saying. Anyone who calls a man with a man a loving relationship is a fool, because one doesn't express love for another by putting his life in danger. This is not love, but lust overpowering reason. It is as simple and irrefutable as that. Endorse homosexuality, and you encourage my friends, Kent and James, to engage in behavior that will cut their lifespans in half. What causes me to oppose this? Hatred for them, or love? What may come as a surprise to some of you is that lesbians also tend to die 30 or more years before their time. And that's because homosexuality is more than just an act of sex, it scrambles the mind. The magazine Sexually Transmitted Infections reports, lesbians are significantly more likely than straight women to report past sexual contact with a homosexual or bisexual man and sexual contact with an IDU, intravenous drug user. Of course, death by suicide is also a factor, as homosexuals are 25 times more likely to commit. And that could be because lesbian partnerships tend to get abusive and grow worse over time. Look, I could just keep quoting statistics, but I doubt they'd appeal to any of you who know a homosexual in your own lives whom you consider normal. The point is, like it or not, homosexuality is brutal and it will hurt its victims in the long run. From age 16 through 19, I was addicted to RuneScape. I must have mined 100,000 coal and iron ore rocks, and that's a very real number. Today, I have a level 100 account, a few million in GP, and 3 years of teenage life that I am never going to get back. And for what? A false sense of power that vanishes the moment I log off? It was a fruitless addiction. Wikipedia defines addiction as a continued behavior despite adverse consequences, or a neurological impairment leading to such behaviors. In English, you keep doing bad stuff because you like it. Homosexuality produces but one thing that keeps it going despite all the trauma, disease, and death: sensual pleasure. Once you look past all the gay agenda's tools, its slogans, music, and TV shows, and get down to the base substance, hedonism is what you find. We Americans frown upon the addictions of smoking and alcoholism all through our K-12 school education, realizing that these are destructive behaviors. So why do we then put lipstick on the pig and dub homosexuality a loving relationship between two consenting adults? It seems this addiction is so powerful that it even poisons those not partaking in it. America is literally losing its mind. This may look like a slippery slope fallacy until you consider the fact that homosexual feelings led to a desire for marital recognition, one inconsistent with the union of a man and a woman. So, why can marriage only be a man and a woman? Because the principle behind it is procreation. None of us got here by a woman and a woman, or multiple fathers and mothers, or by an adult and a child, or by a human with an animal, only by one mother and father. Therefore, marriage is instituted for the good of the family. Mother and father are entrusted with our future generations of humanity. Naturally, they are the best for the job because the deepest sense of responsibility one can have comes from the commitment to make a personal decision to have a child. And because the child is a piece of them, parents have a greater sense of protectiveness for their well-being than anything else. By marriage, the child gets a critical sense of the male-female dynamic, the core of humanity. By marriage, parents officially commit to the new human they have created. And by marriage, families become genetically bound by two bodies who literally become one flesh. These are the strongest of bonds. Homosexual encroachment upon marriage is destructive because it annuls the necessary core principle of marriage, family. It's a house without people, a hive without honey, a hollow shell. There's no more point to it because there becomes no difference between marrying and having sex while living together. Consequently, any children involved will never have the bonds of family blood and never know the difference between a true family and a group of friends. Just so the point hits home, consider how two gay men are supposed to console their adopted daughter when the first menstruation occurs. In a traditional family, a mother can empathize, but never in any other situation. Not with two men, a polygamy of men, a bestiality marriage, a pedophiliac marriage, nothing but true marriage. Yes, there are orphans in the world and it's unfortunate, but homosexual adoption is not the answer. It is an excuse, and like every counterfeit to true marriage, it crumbles under scrutiny. The male-female dynamic is necessary for the survival of humanity. The man and the woman complement each other in every way, anatomically and physiologically, emotionally and psychologically, down to the very tones of our voices. We are built for each other. This is fundamental common sense, on par with the fact that we need to eat to live and that the earth is spherical. This is not open for debate. Therefore, any attempt to contradict this basic fact of life, that men and women need each other, is a deliberate lie. And like all lies, it is destructive. Homosexuality propagates that men and women can replace each other permanently. So, how is this sexist? Well, sexism is defined as prejudice or discrimination based on sex. Homosexuality is an attraction between members of the same sex. By definition then, homosexuals prefer the looks, emotional expressions, and mind workings of their own sex to the other. It is favoritist. Consider the number of lesbians who were in the 1970s feminist movement and continue to be today, where men are the enemy and women are not just equal, but superior. Now, you may know homosexual people with friends of the opposite sex, as do I. A YouTube user named Jack Teagan once pointed this out to me, expressing that people need people. I don't argue the obvious, but I do respond that homosexuality is of no help to these friendships. Rather, homosexuals may tolerate friendship with the opposite sex in spite of their inherent sexism, viewing them as people so they don't have to see a man or a woman. There is just no regard for our natural intrinsic differences. This last point somewhat ties into the previous one, with the added argument that we are created beings. Next to fulfilled biblical prophecy, the complementary male and female are perhaps the strongest evidences of intelligent design. Nature, therefore, means following along with the design as the Creator intended, making heterosexuality natural and homosexuality unnatural. This is further reinforced by the fact that the former results in life and the latter in death. But let's explain with a metaphor. Consider an electrical outlet. By design, it is meant to power the toaster or vacuum cleaner when you plug them in. You could also jam a fork in the socket, but because that isn't the intended purpose, you'll just get electrocuted for being a moron. Likewise, gays experience far worse for sticking something into something else. On a different level, endorsing homosexuality is bad because it defies the Creator's will. So what, some may ask? So everything. The Creator is the big picture in all matters and the final say on what's right and wrong. Once the Creator's ultimate authority is not recognized, morals no longer have weight and all is permitted. Fulfilling lust is fine in the face of death, psychological abuse, a sexist mindset, etc. And who is anyone to say otherwise? Same goes for rape, cannibalism, enslavement, whatever pushes your buttons. Life has no more purpose, for if there is no Creator, what will it matter what you did years from now when all life in this universe ceases to exist? Anyway, that's my 5 cents on the matter. Take it to the bank and give me a response, because I'm expecting some high interest on return. Constructive comments only, please.